Hello, Cancer. Welcome to a Mercury retrograde tarot card reading. I don't know what this reading is going to be about. I'm shuffling the cards in front of you and we're going to find out together. So it could be about money, it could be about love, it could be about career or travel, a spiritual development, whatever it is, we're going to let the cards talk about it. But overall, this is going to be the dynamic of what theme is going to be most important for you during this Mercury retrograde. And we are using a deck that is called the Flow Tarot, this deck here, which is based off of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And so I'm going to use Rider-Waite-Smith interpretations. This deck in particular has images of like water and ice and snow. It's all about flow, right? It's all about water in the different states that water can be. And sometimes people say that God is in the water, right? Other times we look at our human self from a scientific perspective and we know how filled with water humans really are. And so I think this is an appropriate deck for this Mercury retrograde to use and understand the flow of what your life is going to be like. With all of that being said, this looks like a pretty heavy reading. First and foremost, you actually have a lot of money cards coming out in this, but you have a tower moment. The tower moment, if you've never heard of tarot, what a tower moment means is there was a situation in your past that felt like it was ripped out from under you. And whatever that situation is, when the tower is in the reversal position, this looming storm, it's not that a storm in your life is coming, it's that you already went through a stormy situation and now you have to rebuild up from that. In traditional tarot, the tower is connected to the Hierophant card, which is the card of the Pope. It's the card of rigid systems. And in the outer world, a rigid system could look like a court system, a church system. There are a lot of different ways that rigidity shows up in a person's life. But on the outside, it can be like institutions. And on the inside of a human, rigid systems is usually something that shows up when someone has had a narrow mind or a limiting view. They weren't very open-minded. And then the universe took the tower moment and shoved that out from under them, and they had to change their mind very abruptly. It's about seeing a new perspective because there's no other alternative. If you had a certain perspective in the past about something, the universe probably changed your view of something very quickly. Now, whatever it is, for each one of you, it's going to be different. But we've got the Page of Wands here, which in tarot is the Page of Pentacles. And that is why this card is labeled as boundless curiosity, because the Page of Pentacles in traditional tarot is the one who contemplates. The gentleman on the traditional tarot, he's a page that's holding this coin in his hand and he's looking at it and he's studying it. And he's wondering how to plant this thing in his life. He's holding it's a pentacle, it's a coin in the traditional tarot, but you can liken it to a seed that this page is trying to plant into the ground. And when we look at that metaphor and bring it into your life, then it tells me that whatever it is that you had your perspective changed on, it is something that you are currently contemplating. This isn't something that's going to catch you off field. Right? This is whatever this topic is, wherever you had your mind changed in a very dramatic way and just happened very all of a sudden, that's something that you've been thinking about. So whatever's been on your mind that you have been deeply contemplating, that's the topic for today's reading. But it seems to be connected with the Wheel of Fortune in the reversal to a stalled out circumstance or this feeling like you missed an opportunity. See, the Wheel of Fortune in traditional tarot is the zodiac. It's the wheel of the heavens above us. The idea of the wheel of the heavens in historical thinking, in like a predeterministic way of thinking, is that your destiny is already allotted to you by God, or the heavens, or spirit creator, whatever you want to call it, Holy Spirit, etc., right? Or if you're in a Greek mythology, the Greek pantheon decides the motions of the heavens. Marduk in, Mesopotamian circumstances decides your destiny for you. But there is an understanding that when the wheel is in the reversal, it's a person who has not stepped up to what their destiny required of them. Imagine a wheel of fortune, because that's what this card is, the Wheel of Fortune here. Even with the old TV show, Wheel of Fortune, you go up to the wheel and you grab the wheel and you spin it to see where your destiny lands. And whatever fate gives you, those are the cards that you're dealt in life. But you have to step up to it, right? You actually have to go up and you have to spin the wheel. If you don't spin the wheel, things just get put on hold and you don't move forward. You won't miss your destiny, but it's like a delay that happens. It feels like a missed opportunity when you don't try something out that your heart was yearning for. And the Wheel of Fortune is here in the reversal to denote a time frame when you didn't take an opportunity up and now you're contemplating the dynamics of that situation. It could very well have been that in the past, with the Tower moment here, that this was the perspective that changed for you. That some kind of a Tower moment happened where things felt like they were crashing down, essentially, in a metaphoric sense, because you realized that you didn't step up to something that you once wanted to, or that you were contemplating. Now, the King of Cups is here in the reversal, and it's called the King of Clouds in the Flow Tarot deck. It's the King of Cups. When this gentleman is in the reversal position, this is somebody who has, I'll actually pull out a couple extra cards for this one because it's kind of a vast interpretation. On one sense, it's somebody who is dishonest with themselves. On another sense, the King of Cups is somebody who is moody, right? Somebody can choose not to act in life because they're moody. Or someone can lie to themselves and that's why they choose not to act. Each one of you is going to be different, right? But like I said, this card has quite a vast meaning system to it. In an alternative, even further, the King of Cups in the reversal is connected to somebody who was scammed or swindled. Somebody who dealt with like a two-faced situation, a double-sided dynamic. It's the card of a scam artist, essentially, right? So you can be dishonest to yourself, you can be dishonest to others, or somebody might have been dishonest to you. That could be, someone scamming you, but it could have been you scamming someone else, or it could have been you scamming your own self out of a good situation. And this is what you're contemplating. This is also the card of the beaver, right? So what do you do right next to a tower that's collapsed? You build things back up. So in this Mercury retrograde, that's what it looks like you're contemplating. How do you build up after the tower situation has happened? After you felt like the cards that you were dealt in life, you either didn't take the right cards or you took them too late. Or perhaps you tried to take a completely different hand instead of the ones that were offered to you. Like this, that kind of reminds me of the Four of Cups energy, which maybe it'll show up later on in this reading when I shuffle again here. The last two cards that we have not yet spoken about is the 9 and 10 of Wands. That is the 9 and 10 of Pentacles here in the reversal position. And those two are actually repeating some of the patterns we have here. Like as an example, the 9 of Pentacles in the reversal, beautiful card, by the way. In the upright, it's about safety, but in the reversal, it has dishonesty connected to it again, which we already saw over here. It can also have concepts of feeling like you were deceived, like you were swindled. Traditionally, this is a card of a person who's surrounded by a lot of money. So you can understand that when it's in the reversal, why it feels like somebody was swindled out of money. But a pentacle, just remember, a pentacle is what you value. And if you know what a pentacle is, let me just grab my other tarot card deck here. That's a pentacle if you've never seen it before, because it's not on this tarot deck. This is a deck of water. But this is what I mean when I say a pentacle, right? A pentacle, sometimes in people's life, if we interpret it as a value system, sometimes people value money. So money shows up in their life. Other times people value a car. So they try to bring a car into their life. Other times people value a lover. So they try to bring love into their life. Whatever it is that you value, that's the area that feels like you've been swindled out of. I also want to mention that the 9 of Pentacles has this quality to it. It's about voided projects or bad faith. So for some of you, it could be, because right here we talk about not stepping up, right? The 9 of Pentacles is about voiding a project. So it's this idea of trying to start something, but then choosing not to step up to it and voiding it. Beginning something in the past, and then all of a sudden you choose not to. Like you choose not to go forward with whatever it is you were trying to accomplish. And it's also connected to what happens when you have bad faith in something. It's like you voided something in the past because you didn't trust it, which is interesting because the King of Cups over here in the reversal is a card of not trusting something also. And then that brings us to the final card here, the Ten of Pentacles, which when it's in the reversal is about playing games of chance. And in this case, the game of chance didn't turn out in your favor, or a loss that was taken that impacts the possibility of your family life. And the Nine of Pentacles also feels like a bit of a loss also. But in all of this, the question then remains, why are you thinking about all of this in the Mercury retrograde? And that's why I want to shuffle out some more cards here. So, all right, let's get this shuffled away for a second. By the way, if you hear singing in the background, that is my son. He is joining us for this reading here. I will try my best to keep him quiet. But we'll work with it. Work with me, will ya? Let's see what it is. Like, why is it that you're contemplating all of this circumstance? What's the issue here? The Queen of Pentacles is in the reversal. It's a card of contemplation. The Fool card is here. And the Five of Swords, or the Five of Snow. All right. You know, I think the reason that you're going through this is because you still don't trust the situation. And you might have justifiable reasons why not to trust the situation. It's just the thing is, like, the reason I say that is because the Queen of Wands or the Queen of Pentacles, when this is in the reversal position, this is the card of mistrust. That's the third time that you've got this. This idea of not trusting something. The problem with it all is when the Fool card is here in the reversal, the Fool is when a person is supposed to lead with their heart. You're not allowing yourself to lead with your heart. So the universe is having you go through this situation of contemplation, thinking about the circumstance of mistrust so that you can recognize the times when you're leading from your heart and the times when you're leading from fear. And I say that because the Five of Swords is here. And this is the concept of when a person has to break away from something, but they're afraid to do so. So the universe begins to, and your destiny essentially begins to put you into a circumstance of breaking away to make you face those fears. So as you break away from an old dynamic, you begin to worry and feel that sense of mistrust of whether you're making the right decision or not. And if you continue to stay in an energy of mistrust, it'll just prolong any kind of mistrust energy or pain. It'll prolong a sense of fear. If you trust that God or the universe has your best interest, then it makes your breakaway into the new that much more safe, like a safe harbor that you're going to, instead of this feeling of mistrust. So basically for you in your Mercury retrograde, this is a time for deep contemplation, deep introspection for you, and allowing you to understand, when are you in a state of fear? When are you in a state of mistrust? And when are you allowing yourself to follow your heart? And how do you get to that state of not just following your heart though, but also for allowing for your own destiny to unfold and to not be afraid of it? Leading with your heart in a moment where you trust that the universe is actually working for you. Because after the Five of Swords, you get to cards like the Six of Swords, where you go on a journey, where you reach for the things that you truly want. But first, you have to break away from the old versions of yourself that were stuck in mistrust and not following your heart. The things that likely got you in a lot of the predicament in the first place, if you're still dealing with them in the now. I'm going to leave you off with that, Cancer. Thank you very much for joining me on this. If you're interested in a private reading, feel free to get a hold of me. My link is in my bio. Link is in the bio. And that's everything. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much, and ciao for now.